welcome to all of you. We are so, look, we are excited. I am ridiculously excited for this hour, just to have a full hour to be able to ask the unbelievable Geza Hosszu-Legocky. How did I do?
Legocky, or you can say Legocky.
Legocky, okay, I did okay. I am unbelievably excited to have this time to be able to ask you questions and learn from you, and we are going to definitely be getting to some playing. We're going to start off by just learning a little bit about Geza's history and relationship to the violin, and so I will be interviewer, and then what we'll do is just take some of the arrangement, and in particular the Czardas. How many of you have looked at the Czardas part of the arrangement? Any of you guys? You all got it down perfect from memory. Nobody's nodding. That's fine. Don't you worry. It's fine.
Yeah, no worries.
But we'll be looking at techniques and just kind of exploring specific things. One thing I want to say before we do get going and hearing from Geza is that we'd absolutely love this to be a chance for you guys to ask Geza questions, and not just ask him questions, but you've got your instruments with you. If you have actually particular things, whether it's in this arrangement or just things that you have heard him play or seen him do that are really unique to him, and you want a bit more of an insight into how that's done or some advice, this is your chance to do it. It's, you know, like safe and private space, and we can really just explore some ideas. I know I have all sorts of things regarding sautier and spiccato that I want him to teach me, but I might not do that in front of all of you. I don't know. Anyway, so welcome, Geza. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Oh, he's been muted. Laura, you muted him.
Yeah, I know. I just did by accident instead of spotlighting him. Oh. Geza, you just need to press the unmute button. I can't make him unmute. There we go.
Hello.
Sorry.
I'm so sorry about that. Geza, that was your welcome.
Okay. Thanks for having me. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me now? Can you just say yes if everybody can?
Yes, we can absolutely hear you. So firstly, thank you so much for the incredible arrangement that you've done for us all and for joining us today. I wondered, because in our first dialogue about this project, I asked you quite innocently to be a part of the Hungarian trip on the Global Violin Sessions, and your next message to me told me a little bit about where you are from, which must be the most colorful story I've ever heard in my life. So could you actually just start with trying to explain a little bit of your heritage to us?
Wow, yeah, that's interesting. Very good question. Yeah. Listen, I'm born in Switzerland, in Lausanne. So that means born in Switzerland, but my mother is born in Budapest, and my father was born in Ukraine, so in Carpathians, so Uzhgorod it's called. It belonged to Hungary before, but now it's Ukraine. So yeah, and I'm born as an American citizen and Swiss citizen, and I have Jewish and Gypsy blood, and so it's Russian too. So I have even Chinese cousins in China. It's true. It's true. So it's quite crazy, right? Yeah. But
well, that's been one of the most fascinating things about this whole process, is whichever direction we've gone in, it's just opened up such a rich heritage and rich cultural world and picture that is, you know, the result is unbelievable sounds and music and of course violin playing like this. So could you just speak to us for a minute about your about your progression with the violin. There is nobody that does exactly what you do. You're such a unique voice and unique place in the world of violin and the world of music, and you've done so many things for the first time. And I just wonder if you can try to give us a sense of not just your inspirations, but your beginnings with the violin, and what did that education look like for you?
Oh, where to begin? Well, as you know, I mean, I'm a classical trained violinist, like all of you, I suppose. And but of course, I come from a violinist family. I mean, both sides, from my mother and father. Both grandparents were very important violinists in this era, in this part of the world. Uh, my grandfather, the Hosszu side, it's my mother's side, he was actually playing a lot of concerts before they left with George Sifra. If you heard about George Sifra, so they played together, and then so that's my grandfather. He was quite, but he actually gave up the violin. It was quite a sad story because of my mother and the revolution. He left out of Hungary. He couldn't return, so he left to Paris, and then he could have just one of his children, which was my mother, and couldn't return. So he needed to kind of give up the music. Politically, it was something very sad. So for my mother, so he could educate her in Paris. So it was something very special. And then my father's father too was very known violinist here in Ukraine, and he was also concertmaster of St. Petersburg Philharmonic, like ages ago, like 100 years ago. So that's like the classical side. But then there is, of course, the gypsy and Jewish side, which is the very special one, which oops, excuse me.
Don't worry.
I need to, oh God, okay. Excuse me. I just got, I'm still connected to, I believe, Facebook here. Oh God, okay. Just 1 second, okay. Bye. Okay. Sorry.
Don't worry, Geza. Do not worry.
Okay. So where was I?
You were saying the gypsy and Jewish side.
So both my grandparents and the grandparents, they were all from musician families, the Jewish and the gypsies. So the Jewish from the Russian side and the gypsies from the Hungarian side. So, and mostly violinists, but all instruments. So anyway, so that I understood when I was about 4 or 5. My grandfather still was around, and he was the first who actually showed me, like with I was 4 or something, and then he was trying to give me the spoon. So I played with the wooden spoon, first time. So I took some wooden spoon and tried. I was actually 2.5 when I started with the spoon. So
you playing the violin with the spoon, like this?
Spoon, yeah. So I was, because I was watching some videos, and I was watching my family playing, of course. So I was trying to do the same thing, but I didn't have a violin. So I took the spoon, and then my grandfather, I think I still remember this thing, this part of the finger,
Yeah.
The first thing, he actually took my hand and he was moving this. He said, "This is very important, my son." Like,
wow.
So the color, he was talking about color, I remember. And I hope I can upload. There is some videos on YouTube, but he really has a very special sound. So I think I got this part from my grandfather. And so that's how it began. And then I didn't have a lot of experience with gypsy or Jewish or any traditional music, because my mother wanted to make sure I start with the teacher. And then I had it didn't take long time, because at 7 I wanted to play the first Chardash and stuff like that. So age 7 at the academy, when I started in Vienna, age 7. So that's where I was more free, and Dora Schwarzberg was the one who knew that I had gypsy culture, and I never should put this apart. So that's how I began playing a bit of gypsy music. Can you all hear me here? Or?
Yes. We
Okay.
can hear you. We can hear you perfectly.
So, yeah. And then, so then, I mean, as you saw on the video, it was like, actually with Robbie, I was in Verbier, and at the festival I was around.
This is Robbie Lakatos you're talking about.
Robbie Lakatos,
Yeah.
sorry, right, Robbie Lakatos. Yeah. So I was in 98, the first time with Dora in Verbier, just around like this. And I went with Dora there, and I was supposed to hang around Vadim, Repin and this guy, and with Dora. And then the next year I was invited again, but then they wanted me to play with Ida Handel and Repin with Robbie. And I didn't know who is Robbie, Robbie Lakatos. I was like, I asked my mother, who is that and why and what, like Paganini Caprice with, who is Robbie Lakatos? He's Hungarian violinist, but we don't say really gypsy. In Hungary, we say musician when we mean gypsies. We don't say gypsy. We don't say the gypsy word. It's actually, we say musicians, because usually in Hungary, when you say musicians, that's the Roma.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's beautiful.
So that was, and then I remember meeting the band. I was in Geneva airport, and I didn't know who is who, like, what am I doing? My mother just left me alone to fly the airport. And then I met those guys, and they were just incredible, really. I mean, the first rehearsal, and then of course Ida was there, and I was like, oh, she played, and I was like, I was always into the old fashioned, violinists, and that was a dream come true. Of course, Vadim, Repin is also great, and Robbie, and it was such a great experience. And that's how I really thought of trying my own things, and listen and search more about my culture in Hungary, and so that was the beginning.
So this is something actually you came back to in a way, right? I mean, it was in your right. tradition, but you went the traditional classical, like, trained, and then you came back to this tradition and style.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because you see, there is, you must not forget, there is a misunderstanding. Sometimes there is, of course, about gypsy violin, because it's very wide. There is there is the Cinto Manouche, like the French gypsy violin. Then I just knew the Hungarian gypsy violin, and for me that was at least as classical as the classical, because the ones I heard were just so incredible, like really so incredible, that actually I couldn't really, for me it was like at least one of the greats. There are some violinists, maybe not anymore today, but 20 years ago, his name was Sándor Járóka. He was just something. I even showed it to the greatest violinists around, and they couldn't figure out how this is possible, like this guy. So I was very lucky to learn from him, and this Sándor Járóka. And so my journey began around 13, 14, because I made sure that I still got to Vienna to study and to learn the concertos and everything you need to. But I still was, I was really, how do you say, when you are, become really, I say it's like a magnet, gypsy music, it's like
you're drawn to
it. Drawn, actually. Yeah. Exactly, sorry.
No.
So it's such a strong energy, when you listen to it and when you find out what's going on and how. It's for me, it was at least as interesting as classical.
Do you remember the first few melodies or tunes or pieces that you learned?
Well, when I was very small, there was this famous, this Emanuel. There's version. And there's this variation on it, and everybody does variation very it never ends. So that was when I was small, this piece. And then the one that I wanted to learn, because I knew Robbie does something more, of course, commercial. It was really nice, but it was because it was getting really famous. He was the first who got it actually really famous, gypsy music. Oops, my camera. Is this my camera? Okay, something happened with my camera. Sorry.
No, you're just slightly stuck.
Yeah, I'm stuck now, but
we can hear you perfectly, and now
I
now
know, but something is with the camera because it's a new camera, and I'm just. Do you think I can go on the phone, or I should just keep? I don't know if I can. Oh God, right? Because it's Irenka who did this for me.
well, it was all going perfectly.
I know, but now
until this
so you,
moment.
Yeah, that's so so funny.
Okay, now it's saying the webcam utility. Would you
Yeah,
like to...
because I think, you know, this camera that I have, it's a Canon, and the battery life is not, you know, it doesn't. It's really short. I mean, like maybe
Okay,
1 hour should be okay, but I don't know why now.
Do you want to call back in just from your phone?
From my phone? I will do from my phone. Is it okay? I just come back with my phone.
Totally fine.
Okay, sorry guys.
It's okay, don't worry.
Okay, come back.
Okay, so Geza's gone. Okay, so I guess that's me talking. Okay, so one thing I want to just check with you all, have you looked at the music that is of the Czardas? You've all had a look at that, right? So what I would love if you guys could just put in the chat right now if there are any particular techniques based on what you've seen of Geza play in the arrangement that I know what I want to ask him to demonstrate and to go over. What is most interesting to you to ask? And I think well, Geza's now back, but Laura, do people just write this to the Benedetti Foundation, or can they put it in the open chat?
You can do either. You can write it to everybody or just write it to me.
I mean,
whatever you're more comfortable with.
It would be interesting to put it in the open chat if you can. Yeah. So based on what you've seen of his playing and arrangement, what would be the most interesting thing for you to see? You guys are not like the 7-year-olds. The minute we say put something on the chat, it goes like absolutely crazy with everybody writing a million things.
Sorry.
You're all very polite. Don't worry at all. You're back with us.
I'm back. Can you hear me, guys? Oops.
We can hear you. Laura, can you find Geza on the There we are.
So
you sound and look great.
Okay, thank you.
Everything.
You can hear. Okay, perfect.
I can hear you fine. Can I just check? Has nobody written in this chat, or are they writing it to you, Laura?
No, they're all just being very shy.
Okay.
I know Alex will have thousands of questions.
Okay.
Why can't I see the rest of the guys here on the phone? Is it normal?
Yes, you would have to swipe over to the right, but it's
okay.
It's okay. I think you might have to put up with just.
I'm still, quite new. Okay.
You might have to put up with just seeing me and yourself, I'm afraid.
Okay.
So what I wanted to ask you, you were showing us the very first tune that you learned, but the one thing I wanted to ask you was about the difference in what you then how you would practice and how I would practice, and what that looks like to you now. If you're, for example, with this arrangement that you put together for us, how much are you going by ear? How much are you writing things down? How are you working out the rhythms with everyone? Are you rehearsing just by the oral tradition of speaking and singing things and giving people like ideas or harmonic progressions? How is it that you come up with an arrangement like that, and how does your practice differ from?
Right. Look, it depends on timing, of course. Am I still here?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm here. So I got a message, somebody entering. Should I push?
No,
don't worry
don't worry about anything.
Okay, so what I did this time, you want me to say what I did this time? Maybe.
Yes, yes. What
Okay.
you did this time
So-
would be very interesting, but then also just how your practice day would be, you know, like the difference
Okay,
between
right.
what you do. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it depends also on quite a lot of things now, but usually, I mean, practicing, usually I try to play and practice. So I try, of course, to do both. And listening to, you know, as much as possible. I mean, more newer stuff that I, you know, don't know eventually. And but for
When
the
you
fact
say when you say play and practice, what do you mean?
well, play, you know, it's for me, it's playing. It's well, it is kind of practicing, of course, but it's after you like. Okay, for me, practicing is warming up. Let's say scales or concertos or the piece I'm just supposed to practice or to play, but that's, you know, that's not really play. I mean, warming or practicing those pieces, but I need to play. To it's a different energy, you know what I mean.
Yeah, but I love that way that you put it. Yeah.
To play with colors, you know, and to search for stuff. So I need this every day too, you know. So I'm trying to do as much as possible, of course. And I grew up with all these oldies, you know, like Ivry Gitlis and you know, Ida, and so you know they were so incredible and funny too. But I had so much fun with them. I was so lucky to be around these guys. But I believe the most important, they made sure that I search for colors. I think colors were the most important things. I mean, you know, so, and they
So
knew that I have this gypsy thing also, so they were so excited to push me to this, also to never put it apart, you know, because it's a big plus and advantage, if, you know, for someone else, you know. But for me, it was a great advantage because I felt much easier as I began to search for gypsy music and play around. And search, you know, and for the harmonies, you know, the special things they have. It's yeah, it's what I do every day. So I try to play and practice. Yeah.
so before everybody joined the call, you were just playing, I guess. Like I don't think you were practicing. I think you were just playing on your violin.
Yeah.
Like and I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I wondered, like, can you just do that for us? Like, can you just show
You
us?
just play.
Yeah. because Geza, someone has asked, how do you practice to be so free and have so many colors, and do you practice improvisation? So I think we want to know what that looks like.
I don't know. Do you want me to just play around?
Yeah.
Prokofiev, man. So I have this, which I didn't record actually. I wanted to share this because there is one more. There is some rhythms in Hungarian gypsy music. There was one which we didn't have time this time to put it into because it was already long. But there is, which was actually the favorite of Ida. So it begins like, it's very simple. So this is very simple, and then everything. So this is typical Hungarian church. The rhythm is like. So you see, there is this very nice.
Are you playing fifths?
Fifths, yeah. Then quarts. Depends on that. But really basic is on A minor, like. you can use different ones. Basically, yeah.
So okay, so
I
would
don't know
you?
what happened now, but it's like I'm hearing you only from the, not from the speakers, but from the, sorry. I
It's
had a
okay.
message. Maybe is there someone that can help us with the settings?
My God. Okay.
Okay.
No, we're
I can still hear, but it's like, okay.
no, it's we're doing good. We can hear you fine. Geza,
But I can
what
hear you. So, okay.
you can hear me?
Yeah. I
Okay.
think when someone, I had a call, I'm sorry, and I had a call, and when I declined, the sound suddenly went into the speakers. So I don't know. It's just I'm not. It's not a lucky.
That's
Anyway,
okay.
I can hear.
So look, we've had a lot of questions already about improvisation, about glissandi and vibrato,
Yeah.
and about preparing with the band and the colors. So regarding improvisation, so many of the students here, they'll be very high level playing, but we're all terrified to improvise. If you're giving us the starting, how do you take that step?
There is an interesting thing that I think Alex, I watched his one of his videos teaching. Like sometimes you say, of course, it must not be sometimes it should even sound a bit not dirty, but it shouldn't. You shouldn't. I think that the basic thing is to not concentrate on playing the variation as classical, clean as possible. Of course, I even don't do it. Yeah, in this tempo, it's the charm, and you must dare. If you, in gypsy music, it's there. If you dare, you got it. It's coming by itself, and you need to sometimes overdo it, and then you get back into. So that's what I always do. I do since I play gypsy music. So it's like, of course, first your left hand needs to be in coordination with the right hand. Of course, you cannot just begin to play fast, but that helps. For instance, like, and dynamics, very important too. To not play one dynamic. Yeah. So for instance, in the Chardash, you have to just get this what this waves all the time, and then there's in the end there's this Jesse part. Just get you must be it's not important to it's not, that's not the importance in variation in gypsy music. Even in the there is a dirty sound to it, which gives it the charm of the piece. So if you play, the charm is lost. So you need a bit of dirt. It's crispy. What I do on the video this time, but I mean,
and can I just ask that style, is that mostly developed through being in the community of people that have that sound and imitation, or is somebody really teaching you, like, have the hand like this, don't vibrate here?
Both. But I really recovered from all this because I had some years of listening, going to Budapest, listening to all these gypsies, and everybody's different also there, like every violinist, every primash, you go to a different restaurant, you go to the other cafe, and they are all so individual, so you try to, and they usually play basically Hungarian gypsy music, so it's similar, but their styles, violinistic styles are very different. So I think you search for to stand out of the norm, of course, which is not, I'm trying to say, not to maybe play too dirty, not to press, but search for something like for instance, my teacher Jaroko Sándor told me it's about animals. tigers, fish, you know, like lions, all these colors, you know, you have in the jungle. Like that's very near to gypsy music. And you have all this, you know, if you imagine from the swingara to the chardash, that, you know, it goes to, you can imagine kind of, you know, the cartoons back then, you know, you had this yeah, I mean, you know, you don't try to maybe to put apart maybe the classical typical, you know, approach to play it so clean or something. It's the effect. But also I think in classical music, right? I mean, of course we need, that's a much cleaner approach to playing the violin, but still it's very important, right? I mean, the effects and the right colors.
But to me, some of the most, I don't know if clean is the right word, but the playing that just sounds right. Like when I'm hearing you playing, I'm not thinking like clean or dirty or right or wrong.
Right,
It's just everything has come together. And this is something like to all the students that are here and those who are, everyone who's watching, I think it is such an important thing to recognize when you're watching you play, is that it's not a box ticking exercise where you get this right, get that right. You're searching for an overall like vibration that comes from every angle at one time. And you talked about the coordination between the hands, but even that is like something magical. It's not so like control this, control that. When you watch you play, especially when you watch you play fast, it's like everything is the hands are speaking to each other.
I think you need okay, we don't have a lot of time doing this week, of course, but I think the most important is taking risks. So you know, like for instance, even in the swingara, or if you will, the slow Hallgató part, the introduction part, if someone is interested, it's not really trying to search for gypsy violinists, you know, on YouTube, or it's just, you know, just to close your eyes and just imagine. That's very important. And just what you feel personally, that's already something great, you know. Not to try, you know, maybe to look too much up all these violinists and how who plays how and why, you know, and which speed and stuff. Or, you know, it's important to have your own story, you know, your own story. It's like the great composers. It's also with the little piece in gypsy music. I have my own story with. I have my own story with this. You know, it's. I think that's very important. And
absolutely,
we have fun, of course. Fun is the most.
Can I ask you something that is a question from me? It's not from anybody else, but did you ever feel a pressure to have to fit into a specific sound or style within the classical world? Did you feel that pressure, like I have to sound exactly like this, otherwise I'm not accepted?
Right. Yeah, you see, I had this quite late because I was spoiled. I mean, like a musician, I was spoiled because I grew up with all these old guys which loved me from all their hearts, including Marta Igorich, the pianist. She loved me so much, like you know, my own mother, really. Until today, you know, I'm like a little boy or something. So I was really lucky. I must say, I was really lucky. I was also spoiled at the same time, so that was not very good. So the direction, and then the Five Devils came, 17, and then that was Lugano, and then, you know, EMI said, okay, what you do, what you know, what's happening, and then I couldn't answer, and Ivry told me that was very important. Say, you have time, you need to have your own story. You don't need to rush into anything, because the later you are sure when you come back later, right? So I had it later on. So for instance. It depends, but I don't really, and nobody really, nobody really ever pushed me into, you know, with this stuff. Of course, I had critics like everybody else, and I had the Five Devils. So sometimes people misunderstood what I am,
is this guy classical violinist or gypsy violinist. So of course a lot of sometimes misunderstandings, but usually people, I mean the public wants, I think first of all it's this, the feelings, the emotions, right? Somebody sits down, I mean they have some food, right? They come to the concert, they had all this discussion, having shower, this and that, and then they have all sorts of before going to a concert, and they just want to relax and to feel something, because they work all day, right? People work and they just want to relax in a concert. So taking it too seriously is also a better approach. So I think with gypsy music I learned this balance to, especially now, I mean I'm 35, I'm almost 35, but I'm again a kid, so I have all these 10-12 years of a phase when I get back like a child when I was 13, 14. I feel this way even I just had a baby now. I'm it's crazy, really. I feel again like I'm 13, 14. Like 2 years ago I felt like 60. So but I think that's my story and you have yours. And gypsy music or jazz like Winton, we have our stories. That's the most important, and that we share. And it's with love and it's honest, and whatever happens, that's what we do now. We share and
I would just like
too much.
No, I just want to put you in front of every single young musician in the world, because we are so often restricted by fear and worry. And color, in my experience with my dear wonderful students that I listen to from all over the world, color is the one thing I cannot get people to step out of just making a good sound. Make color out of the sound. And I sometimes try, like it drives me crazy. I'm pulling my hair, trying to get somebody. I don't want you to sound good. I want you to experiment and play with color. And honestly, Geza, I try to force myself to do it too. But then sometimes the concert comes and I feel the pressure to just like play a certain way, and I don't take that risk. And I wish we would all together follow you more and take those risks.
No, I follow you because you are doing this extraordinary, incredible thing now. I mean, it's, I think that people have so much other stuff in life, that, especially breathing, we forgot in music, I think many of students, maybe when I go, for instance, when I went to Korea, like that was very interesting because they are kind of catching up with China, Korea, you might, it's becoming really quite something. And the students, they're, from 6 to 18, I gave a master class and singing. And they asked me in the interview, in the talk show, like, what is it that you really want to say, do you have this? And I just say singing. I mean, they're so, really perfect and even musically, everything is in place, and but singing, I always try to make them sing, which they don't really do anymore so much, no, nowadays. Absolutely. It's more about the violin and perfect, but it's so beautiful, it's so nice because everybody has their own voice, When you sing, it's really your voice. That's where you recognize someone by the voice. And we have the same thing in the violin, when we put our arms, our fingers on the violin, it's us, it's our imprint. Everybody has it, better or it can be anybody, in any level. And that's, I think, that comes before the technique and the wonderful, great performance,
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I'm going to quote you for the next few years. Could we do something, please? I wondered if we can just pick something really simple, because everybody has their instruments. So if we could pick even just one note to play with color in all the different ways. Maybe you can, when you're too close to the phone, the sound goes down. So maybe you can go a bit further away.
That's what I'm afraid of with the phone. It's not very
It's okay if you just go a bit further back, and you can
Further
just
back, right, yeah.
show us what it's possible to do with color. And if people want to like try to just listen, even if you can't hear so well with the phone, but watch what he's doing and try to imitate with the vibrato and everything. Yeah.
Okay. So let's try like this.
Yeah.
Is it okay like this?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it okay if I take down my, because it's quite warm now, so.
But I would really encourage everybody to just try to
So
copy.
let's see. So what I did today, for instance, with the B, I was trying to do some vibrato with the right hand. So what I did is I was listening to him and Sarasate playing, you know, was recording and they had this kind of vibrato. If they would, you know, if it's not really the left hand, it was like they do with the right hand. So that's also a color. So it's like the vibrato. It's like this, but with the bow. So I was trying to figure out even slow, maybe a slower motion that gives the vibrato only with the bow without moving the left hand. So then you know, sometimes I try to do that I learned from Ivry. So Ivry does really, that's why he plays so dirty. He does too much. He really scratches, like he does things, but that's very interesting approach, because actually when you force you over, you know, scratch it, it's horrible to listen to, of course. But if you do it enough long, you, after a few minutes, you feel something growing.
Yeah.
Into this thing. Like, it's so weird, but that I first said it's crazy, you know, for Ivry, but actually I was doing it myself. So sometimes I do, you know, they do this when they put new strings. So they try, you know, so the strings open the fastest possible. So that's the kind of what more pressing, you know. But the gypsy thing. So it's one. It's like the famous Hungarian tada tada, you know. So it's the same basic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one. But for colors, I don't know. I would try to do colors first with the bow. I would do that first with the bow, because the left hand does too much things. Vibrato, it moves around here. Like that,
Absolutely.
And people don't usually they don't concentrate that much on the bow for colors than the left hand. They always try to do it with the left hand. So what I try to, even if it goes, you know, over the fingerboard, you know, if it's still, even if it goes a bit, but I search for colors moving the bow from bridge to even, let's say, here, you see? So like, did you see him?
Turn this way a bit.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
It helps for me. So what I do things. So playing around the. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can
Yes?
absolutely.
Okay.
The sound is not so great when you're playing.
Not so great. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry.
it's fine.
I'm charging the battery for the.
No, it's fine. It's fine. We can see. But all of you guys that are on the call, like I cannot tell you enough how much I implore you all to experiment with that. I mean, within one bowing, he's actually going like what's that? Sideways. I'm going sideways.
Nikki,
to create.
Sorry, excuse me. Can you play? I wanted not to forget to ask you. I wanted to ask you to play this you played it so beautifully. The blog, the piece you it was just uploaded a few days ago. It's so beautiful. I even hear Menuhin, a lot of those colors. They're so beautiful. Can you just play a bit of that? Because I want to learn that piece.
You want me to actually play some?
Please, yeah, please. Because that's the thing what I'm talking about. Yeah, exactly. So see, when you do this on the, you don't. That's also a color. Like when you go back, you don't do. You do, but you don't. So it's in between. It's like between the notes. The thing between the notes to search for that. That's so crazy, incredible, nice. To search between the two notes something which you first, you need to search. We say in Hungary, who searches finds also,
Oh, I love that. That's beautiful. No, I feel like it's psychological, emotional, and physical
and
to
fun.
start. Yeah, but it's something that is like unlocking a key. But
Yeah,
the
exactly.
first step is the taking the risk to not trying to sound pretty and perfect all the time, and through that you're physically I mean, I imagine this is why I asked you about when you say I play and I practice. I imagine when you play, searching is what you're doing. You are searching.
Exactly, it's searching, right? Yeah, searching all the time. Yeah.
And
articulation, most of the time in classical music, it's more about articulation, but it's all the time a searching process.
Yeah. And so for everyone's questions regarding improvisation and colors, obviously I mean, like, we could put together many more classes with you that are really specifically, like, we can take a tune, take a theme, and you show us the improvisation. But the principle is what's most important to get across to everybody, which is this experimentation and searching principle.
So what I suggest for the students, just to not forget, for instance, the variation, because everybody's about the tempi and it's so fast, and so like, why so fast? Why so much notes?
No.
But you know what? Why I did this? I had a specific idea for it, because usually, what do they do in the academy or conservatoires? They make you do it the opposite. Play it slowly, So what I would suggest, try. You'll see. Everybody will see. Play it in a fast tempo, even if you make mistakes. I mean, learn the notes not with the violin. Maybe first, try to not to learn them just by looking at them. So let's say like four bars. Let's say the first bar. So only this until here. So you try to really scan it visually, and then try to imagine all sorts of accents, bow and soul, or down, or spiccato, with the pianissimo, or the opposite. Just play around it, but you need to do it fast, because if you do it, the problem is, if you do it too slow and you try to be too clear, so it's good for the articulation, maybe for the clean notes, but you lose a bit the spirit of practicing.
Absolutely.
So you must put apart time for practicing the notes, but put yourself also at least as much time to play around in tempo. Even if you make mistake, I don't play perfect. I never play perfect. I mean, I hope not.
I think you do, but
I never figured out how to play it perfect. It was so fast. if I play it first position, then I need to change. But then it's even more interesting musically if I play and then change. Then it's even more interesting. So yeah, I think this kind of I prepared like 3 videos and I'm just cutting them together and I will put them today up. I was supposed to do it yesterday. I'm so sorry. I was on the COVID test with Irenka and the baby, like like 50 people, like really. I'm going to Hungary tomorrow, so I'm looking forward.
That is so interesting, and it's actually inspired me so much because what I realize, so for everyone here, I'm preparing to play Beethoven at the beginning of next week, and when I'm playing and I realize that I'm trying to find shapes within the piece, then everything has its own rhythm and its own direction. But when I'm trying to control note by note and I'm not finding shapes, everything is much more difficult. And it's such an interesting point that you make about having to do something in time and in tempo, because your rhythmic mind and also your hands and arms and everything will find a way that is in the style of the music.
Exactly.
So listen, because we don't have very long, I wonder if you could speak for a couple of minutes on glissandi and then on vibrato, and then maybe we have time for 1 or 2 quick questions.
Okay.
Glissandi first.
So glissandi, wow, there's so much glissandi.
I know, it's impossible to answer. But...
yeah. Glissandi in gypsy, yeah, of course, for the piece. What in the swing era, what I would suggest is not to try, which I was trying to explain it to Andrea, I believe. Yeah. Andrea's her name, advanced.
Yeah, yeah? Andrea, yeah.
So, when you do this slide, to not try to, there are this German, I don't know, for me it's a bit weird, those German gypsies, I don't know, they it's not true, like, don't, it's not the real gypsy thing. Anyway, so what the important thing is to keep there when you slide, keep it, don't try to overdo it, because it doesn't make it sound better or more interesting if you slide more. It doesn't make it more gypsy. That's what I want to say. So yeah, exactly, that's it. It's very simple. Also slide, if you don't try to overdo it because it's gypsy music, then you get it, just try to imitate what you hear and then you get it,
And what about the one in the beginning? There's one near the beginning of the arrangement. Yeah.
So yeah, typical Hungarian slides are, because
it's like you hear the notes almost in.
Yeah, so yeah, it's so it's like I Pay For You, everybody knows from Sarasate. Yeah. So the original Hungarian way to play it, because Sarasate took it from Hungary. It's a very famous song. Csak egy kislány van a világon. It's a very famous song. So the real gypsies play it. Tom. So, that's the original way to play it, like, basically, I do my stuff, but basically, Menuhin was a great fan of this. That's why, when he went on. Also, the Romanians are wonderful. They all have this part of the world. You have so much, you know, to take and include it in classical. It's so pity that we lost, you know, we lost that a bit. You know,
Absolutely.
We should get it back because it's one of the most, the greatest thing we can do, because it gives so much individuality. Because you have all those slides, all those different bowings they use, gypsies, and you know the culture. You know, so yeah.
So campaign to get it back in the
let's campaign.
And can you just speak for 1 minute on how vibrato relates to that, and generally your thoughts on vibrato technique or style, or it?
In gypsy music, I really try to use only this, like, you know, that's what. You know,
So this.
Yeah, like almost only this. So like I put down the breath, the fingers, and so.
I'm here. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Okay, we're having strange stuff today.
No.
Microphone, camera.
But that's actually a part of the of vibrato that I see quite a lot of. If this is stiff, it can make the sound a lot more thin.
Yes, exactly. So what I do is just for practicing, but what I do is just, you know, put those two fingers. If I usually practice it with a second. So because the way it goes to, you know, because usually normally what we would do is do this, right? I mean, sorry, like this. With gypsy music, usually they do downwards, you know? That's what gypsies do actually. Now, then there is a second version which uses only this. So you see, do it slowly. You can press actually the scroll to the wall, or maybe to the, you know, that helps a lot. And then you do slowly, just put it as flat as possible, the finger. So this way, you see, this way, and then, you know, the thumb should have. Yeah, and then you really try to it force, and then it gets, the more you force, the more it gets relaxed. That's the weird thing with this. So it doesn't get really stiff, you know. You just need to force it the right way, because if you don't do this thing, if you do it this way, then you're forcing this part. See the hole here. So what you do is really, I don't know if you see Berman playing. He you know, he does.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's the same thing. It's the same basics. You put, you know, the fingers to the. Oh God, sorry.
No, it's so
me?
fascinating. Yeah, we can see it really well. It's really. I'm
That's the basics. So. So is this. And the bow always in this part. So this part of the Hungarian gypsies play mostly here. You know, if you see Robbie, even he does jazz, but when he plays sound, it's more this part. You know, so it's more up. So for sound. It's really nice to control color with this thing. So
absolutely. Laura, are you there? I mean, look, there are a million more questions I want to ask, but we're coming to the end of the session. Laura, what are your thoughts? Have you got any recurring questions that came to you that we think we should just ask before we finish?
think we've covered basically all of them. I'm just having a quick last scan through. Apart from maybe this one, which is, we sort of touched on it, about the mentality of it. How do you free your mind enough to be able to just do that? How do you get away from what we are so trained to do from such a young age, which is to follow the dots on the page? I think that's maybe a really, that's the one thing we maybe not covered enough. Everything else I think we've done.
Is that question clear, Geza?
Maybe you can repeat it once more, because that was,
So the question is about getting your mind free enough to be able to try these things, but the mental state.
Mental state, right. Depends on the age. Depends on, but mostly with kids depends really on the parents. I think with kids, the parents are very, very important. So I believe because I have kids and I have big kids and now a very small one, and the more you push them, the more difficult it is. So, the more you let them like birds, you need it's the same for us adults. When someone pushes us into something like practicing or whatever, we need the balance between, pushing ourselves, so, naturally, and keeping, right. So mentally, do you mean preparing for something specifically, or
No,
just
like
free,
if you
free your mind?
Yeah, if you like, we tell ourselves, okay, we're going to try this improvisation, but then you get to it and you're scared to do it. How can you make your mind like free enough to take that step?
Oh, right. I think again, it's like you need to imagine. It's like, when you go, you can help me with it. When you go swim and you have those, when you jump from this thing.
The diving board.
Sorry, how's it?
Diving board.
Diving board, yeah. So when you are on the edge, so you can't really go back because it's a shame, if you go, everybody will love it. So you need to jump. So it's between jumping and it's this moment which you decide, okay, I jump. So it's the same risk. You need to decide. You really need, it's okay. It's not, you don't need to play that fast. There is a score where you can play along, but do it. If it's not clean, it's okay. If it's not perfect, it's okay, but you got it. You got it. Enjoy it. Play it a few times. Play just pop, do stuff. This, play dirty, play clean, but play along, play whatever. Do the viola, do the viola with it. Imitate the viola. Imitate the cymbalom. It's such a fun instrument. Try to imitate a bit what the cymbalom does. Get really involved with the music, because if you just try the violin, I want to play that fast, you will not get it. You need to involve yourself into the story of this whole, before the variation comes, because we put it in a way, like it's growing. Of course, it's a different rhythm, but suddenly it comes, the cymbal begins the thing, and then it grows to it, and then comes the last. First is the chadash, but it's all fun. It's not something. Of course, Hungarian gypsies are very good violin and serious violin playing, but it's still fun. You should have fun. You should have fun. That's very important. And
I loved what you said also. If the attitude is too serious, it's not good. If it's too pressured, it's not good. And a lot of us, have this.
But in anything, I think, in Hungary, you don't say classical music. Officially you call it serious music. That's the translation for classical music. In Hungary, say komoly zene. Then you have jazz zene, but we don't say klasszikus zene in Hungarian. It's komoly. Komoly is serious. So, but it must not be. You see, it's not. It's a we're in an era, I think we're going to a completely new world where we are sharing so much, and if we take everything that's serious, even the classical violin, we can end up you know, if we have something different coming, then we get scared. That's what you do when you're too serious. When you're, I was also very serious for a long time. So when something came along that was not, that I was not familiar with musically, I got a bit, you get a bit like, and that's not good for music. That's really not good. We should be familiar with as much as possible and then experiment. And even in classical music, I mean, if you have a cadenza, you play a concerto, experiment. Nobody will, it's with the cadenza, for instance. I mean, if you play Beethoven cadenza, why not to write your own, why not to improvise in a cadenza, or do your own, like before they did Milstein and Heifetz, and they experimented, they played all sorts of crazy stuff, they played fast, the orchestra couldn't follow, they didn't care, but the thing was there, the thing was there and everybody was happy.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, Geza, that's been so inspirational for me, for everyone. Thank you so
Nikki.
much.
It's so nice
so much for
to
your
share
time.
with you.
Thank you all, guys, everybody, for joining us. And
thank you, guys, and keep up and have fun. Have fun. It will be fantastic. I promise you. You will have really fun. Just try to have fun. Don't try to, yeah.
Thank you so much.